folks, it's Jeff here. Just a quick reminder, if you're loving Disney Coast to Coast, there are a couple of easy ways that you can support the show. We'd love it if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or wherever you listen to the show. This is a simple way to help other Disney fans find us. Also, go ahead and share your favorite episodes on social media and be sure to tag us. You can find all of our social media information at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. And finally, I just want to say thank you to all of you who listen every week. Your support is very appreciated, and we love that you're enjoying our Disney geekiness. Now on with the show.
Are you craving a trip on Space Mountain? Well, we've got the next best thing. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli.
And I'm Aaron Fairbanks.
And Aaron Fairbanks.
Yeah.
We have Pirates of the Caribbean 5 coming out very, very soon.
Yeah, like this weekend.
We have Fantasmic returning very soon.
Thank God.
So, forget about the Marvel Universe.
Yes.
Forget about the upcoming Star Wars Land mega story.
Who needs it?
Who needs it, right? Today, we're talking about some mega theming from the original Disneyland park that doesn't exist but does exist. So let's just get to today's Disney dialogue.
Get ready to dig deep in today's Disney dialogue.
Okay, so there is this theory. I say theory, there's some facts that back it up, and then there's a lot of just fan theory out there. It's a lot of information. We're going to break it down for you. Some of you may have heard of this. There's supposedly a theory out there that Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Tom Sawyer Island, and basically New Orleans Square as a whole is connected.
Yeah.
Had you heard about this?
I had not heard of this.
I just came across a YouTube video. In fact, I'm going to give credit to, so I got a lot of information from several different sources. As I said, some of it seems to be supported, some of it not so much. But I do want to mention longforgottenhauntedmansion.com, duchessofdisneyland.com, and the book 101 Things You Never Knew About Disneyland by Kevin Yee. Those are where it seemed like everybody was getting their information from.
Yeah.
So, if you want to fight me for what we're about to talk about, fight them instead. And if you're like, Jeff, you're a genius. No, I'm not. These people are. So yeah. But it all starts with a character or a real person named Jean Lafitte.
Jean?
Jean.
I figured Jean.
Jean.
He's French, right?
Okay, yeah, he's French.
Yeah.
Jean Lafitte. Which comes spelled a couple different ways. I think the original spelling of his name is Laffite.
Right.
But it's been Americanized as Liffitte. Interestingly enough, you can find it both ways.
Yeah. That kind of explained it to me of maybe they just they read it both ways. And so one place it's correct spelling and one place it's Americanized spelling.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they had kept it all one spelling in New Orleans Square because I'm a continuity person. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe there's a reason behind it. But what do you know of Jean Lafitte? You're right. It is totally Jean. What am I thinking?
I've been saying Jean. You want the kind of rhymes, right?
Jean Lafitte.
Jean Lafitte. He was a privateer. Mm-hmm. A pirate and a privateer. So he initially was based out of New Orleans with his brother Philip.
I forget the brother's name.
Anyways, him and his brother had this smuggling operation out of New Orleans, and they would smuggle goods into the country through the ports of New Orleans. In fact, there's a famous blacksmith shop in New Orleans that is named after the Laffittes, and apparently his brother was a blacksmith, and they used this as a legitimate blacksmith shop and as kind of a cover for their operation. I was really surprised because even they helped win the War of 1812. Mm-hmm. So eventually they got caught and they became privateers. And so they were working with Andrew Jackson and the U.S. Army, and they helped defeat the British in an attack on the ports of New Orleans.
Now, this is all fact, true story.
This is all true. This is some intense Disneyland backstory.
No, this is Jean Lafitte, real person backstory. A fun little fact about this, Lafitte's real hideout was called the island of Barataria, which lay off the coast of New Orleans. So, if you think of Tom Sawyer Island as an island off the coast of New Orleans, as Lafitte's hideout, some things start working together here that are very interesting. So those are the facts about him. Now, the reason why this gets really fascinating to me, the stuff that I think is, yes, there was an attempt to make all of this one story, kind of goes back to opening day of Disneyland. Now, of course, New Orleans Square was not part of Disneyland at that time, but there was this anchor on display in Frontierland.
Yeah.
Called, was it just Lafitte's Anchor?
I think it's Laffitte's
Anchor. And there's a plaque on there. This plaque, now the anchor has moved since opening day, of course, because of New Orleans Square, and they've moved it a couple times, but there's been a plaque on it, and the verbiage on the plaque has never changed. It's always said, Lafitte's Anchor, said to be from a pirate ship commanded by Jean Lafitte in the Battle of New Orleans, January 8th, 1815. It is also said that Lafitte's privateering ships left a wake of blood from the mainland to Barataria Bay, but don't believe everything you read. So, this little backstory has started, a seed of it has been there since day one of Disneyland.
Yeah.
I find this intriguing. This is like super nerdy awesome.
Well, and you got to think, Walt Disney was so invested in all of the details of the park, so he had to have had some kind of intention for putting this in the park.
Sure. I would assume so. I mean, the plaque, I think, is where the intent comes. It could have been like, oh, here's a cool prop. This would fit in Frontierland, because let's face it, that happens, especially when you're running around trying to finish this park.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a bit of that. It's the plaque that I find most interesting, and the fact that it's remained all this time. And also the fact that he put this in Frontierland, which, let's face it, makes more sense in a New Orleans Square. So how long was New Orleans Square on Walt's mind? I actually don't know the answer to that question. Do you think he was always wanting a New Orleans Square?
I think so.
Okay.
Because when you see him on like the old World of Colors, he was talking. He presents pirates.
Yeah,
and he talks about pirates and how it ties into New Orleans Square and how it's rich. The history of New Orleans is rich with pirate lore. So I think that was a planned expansion.
Yeah, it kind of seems that would make sense to me, but I don't know for fact.
So maybe that was an anchor into the new.
That was such a terrible dad joke. You should be embarrassed.
Oh, I've got a better one. I like to think that Lafitte was a pirate podiatrist.
Why?
Because Lafitte is a treat for your feet.
You're an idiot.
He was a pirate podiatrist.
That should not be allowed on this show. It's terrible.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Now, we've been talking about some of the facts about Lafitte here, but when did Imagineering come in? Well, of course, the anchor was the start of it, but the idea for all of this kind of started with the Haunted Mansion, where the idea of entering through a crypt through the Haunted Mansion and then arriving on Tom Sawyer Island in a pirate ship on that island.
Right.
That's where it started. But then we've also got the Lafitte's Landing sign over in Pirates of the Caribbean, which we'll get to in a little bit. But let me just say, entering a crypt through the Haunted Mansion and ending up on Tom Sawyer Island sounds so much better than waiting for those barges.
Yeah. Well, especially they had plans to put like an arcade down there and like a saloon, I think. Like there was supposed to be like shops and dining and there was a lot more to just crossing under the river.
Yeah, and this was a walkthrough. Now, one of the interesting things is that every time you hear about the origins of Pirates of the Caribbean as well as Haunted Mansion, these were all intended to be walkthrough attractions. Yeah. It wasn't until later that the boat concept for Pirates came in, and then the people, not the people mover, the Omnimover.
Omnimover,
Is that what they call it? The ghost.
The Doom Buggy.
The Doom Buggy. Yeah. There we go. Was introduced.
But it's just such a capacity issue. I mean, all right, so it would have been cool to cross under the river, but could you imagine with crowds just like being packed into a corridor? Like that would have been a nightmare.
But there was concept art for this, and it was very cool to see the story of pirates being included in Haunted Mansion. It was very interesting. And also, if you think about Haunted Mansion, what kind of weather vane is there on the Haunted Mansion?
It's a pirate ship.
It's a pirate ship. So was Lafitte the first owner of the Haunted Mansion?
I don't know. There's always been a sea captain associated with the lore of the Haunted Mansion. And that was initially in the concept of having a sea captain be one of the original owners, and even at the Walt Disney World location, they've added into the queue that sea captain, not tombstone, but the. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Then the queue outside.
In the queue, yeah. There's
yes.
so there's always been this kind of association with a captain.
So yeah, I kind of just every time I read about this, I'm just like, I wish this really happened.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of Imagineering at its best. I know that Imagineers really pride themselves on storytelling. I feel like we've never had anything this grandiose of a story. And I really do feel like this is kind of what they're trying to do with Star Wars Land.
Yes, yeah.
So it's interesting to see that this kind of has existed for a very long time, at least the idea of it, even if it doesn't really exist. Now, you had mentioned the silver shop, yes? Or
No. Not the I had.
Oh, you mentioned the blacksmith.
Yeah, the blacksmith
Okay.
shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in 1966, so not too much further after the park, in 1966 to 88, Lafitte's Silver Shop was actually at the exit of Pirates of the Caribbean. These days, if you exit Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, you'll see the caricaturists there.
Yeah.
But that was Lafitte's Silver Shop there. So once again, the name of Lafitte, so 66 is actually before Pirates is finished in 67, before Haunted Mansion in 69. We've got the anchor at that point.
Right.
And we've got Lafitte's Silver Shop. So this name keeps creeping itself into New Orleans Square.
Yeah.
I'm like, I nerd out over this. This is just so weird, and it's too much to be coincidence, but also I'm not sure how much of it was really intended either.
I just imagine there was like a blackboard in Imagineering, and it just had like Lafitte. What do we do with this? Question mark. Like
Kind of, yeah, and they just stuck the name on everything.
Yeah.
As I previously mentioned, the Lafitte's Landing, which to me is the most obvious. That's the one
Right.
that I always see. This is right when you're boarding Pirates of the Caribbean. The sign above the boats that you're loading, it says Lafitte's Landing, and it's just kind of one of those things, like, whenever I see a last name or a name anywhere in the Disney parks, I'm always like, oh, that's an Imagineer's name.
right.
You know, that's always the assumption because they often do that in honor of the Imagineers working on the projects. Lafitte was not an Imagineer. But the story continues there. And then 1969 was the official Haunted Mansion. And as we said, the weather vane there. And was he the original owner? I don't know. Now, Tom Sawyer Island, on the other hand, 1956, Tom Sawyer Island was created.
Okay.
Now, on Tom Sawyer Island is Lafitte's Tavern. But I don't know when that was
I was just
created.
going to ask because I think that I feel like that was probably added in later.
I tried to find research on this. If you are familiar with Disneyland these days, the building that basically is the centerpiece for Fantasmic, that
Right.
little shack there, used to have a big sign across the top that said Lafitte's Tavern, which has been removed.
Oh.
But on the side, you can still see Lafitte's Tavern painted on the side of that building.
Right.
So once again, more Lafitte. So it's all tied together.
More Lafitte.
Now, here's one of the coolest food ideas to ever hit Disneyland that unfortunately didn't come to realization but was tied into this whole theme. Did you hear about this in the
No.
saloon? Okay, in the saloon, they wanted to have drinks mixed with Pop Rocks, an imitation of Chinese pirates who used to mix gunpowder in their spirits. So,
Oh my god.
yes. So can you imagine like a soda of sorts at Disneyland that they put some Pop Rocks in so your drink's like poppin'. And I think that's the coolest thing. Like that's such a cool gimmick drink.
I'm stuck on the I want to try the drink with the gunpowder.
With the gunpowder. Yeah, I don't know what the benefit of that was.
I don't think there is one. That sounds very dangerous too. I don't know.
Apparently Chinese pirates used to do that. But yeah, I'm just saying, Disney, Pop Rock soda, make it work somehow. I will say I actually recently had Pop Rocks Oreos.
How was it?
It tasted like Oreos, but your mouth explodes.
Okay. It's the fireworks.
It's the fireworks 4th of
Oreo,
July
yeah.
Independence Day edition of
Right.
Oreos on the store shelves now. I don't know why I'm giving a commercial for Oreos. But yeah, if you want some little popping going on in your mouth while you enjoy a delicious Oreo, get those.
Maybe drop one of those in your soda.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh my god! Seriously though, would you have not loved to have seen a Pop Rock soda?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's the greatest.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about all of this pirate stuff that happened on Tom Sawyer Islands in conjunction with Lafitte, let's fast forward to modern day here. Currently, the Tom Sawyer Island's official, unofficial name at Disneyland is Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island.
Right.
Now, this was brought because of the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, of course, but do you think like they went back to some old concepts that they had for this whole Lafitte tie-in and brought it to life on Tom Sawyer Island? I kind of feel like that's where we're at right now.
I'm sure that has something to do with it. Yeah.
It's so crazy that I don't know. They always say in Imagineering, no idea is ever like thrown away. It just sits on a shelf for a while, and I feel like this is part of it. Now, the original entrance for this was supposed to be a crypt right across from the Haunted Mansion, and as we said, the walkway over. But there is a little piece of this story that was added later about the little archway. Do you know about the bricked up archway?
Yeah.
It says 1764 above it.
I always wondered what that was.
To be completely honest, I'm not sure if I've noticed it so much before, but now I will. And
It's kind of like you were mentioning, like you pick out the details, and it's like one of those things it's so random that you have to assume that it
means
serves
something.
some purpose,
yeah.
right?
Supposedly, the theory behind the 1764 is it's 200 years before one of the Imagineers' birth, which was 1964. I don't know how true that is, but it is this little archway. And here's the thing that kept confusing me as I was researching this. This is a tiny archway near the Haunted Mansion in the stone that faces the rivers of America. You'll see a little archway with bricks covering it. It says 1764 above it.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, okay, I'm reading about this whole walkthrough experience to Tom Sawyer Island. I'm like, this archway is tiny. Who is fitting in this thing? This has to be claustrophobic. This is scary. Of course this didn't happen.
No.
And then I read the whole you enter the crypt from the Haunted Mansion. So this was actually added many, many years later simply as a tribute to this theory. And it happened during reconstruction of that whole area for Phantasmic viewing, which I actually didn't even realize they did a huge, massive reconstruction of that area. Kind of like what we recently saw for Rivers of Light.
Oh, so there was the different tiered standing positions and...
Yeah, I don't know. No, not seating. It's like it is today, but before that, it was something very different. So they needed more places to stand, essentially,
right,
to see Phantasmic. So they did a massive reconstruction, and that's where this little archway came in. And apparently this is either the crypt of Lafitte or there's hidden treasure in there, which I think is such a nice little detail. And
there's hidden treasure in there?
Yeah, so I think next time I go to Disneyland, I'm bringing a jackhammer. Do you think that... Can you imagine if you showed up to Disneyland with a jackhammer and tried to get through security? And like, this is not a weapon.
It just... to go off topic,
do it.
It just reminds me of in Ghostbusters 2, when they put on the construction uniforms and they're like they're at the sewer. They take the sewer off and they're like mining, and like the guys come by and they're just like, "What are you?" They like totally fake it. They put on like fake New York accents. That's what I think we should do. Is like put on hard hats.
I'm all for it.
Like orange vests. Like, don't worry, we're supposed to be here.
I think the entire DCTC team should do this. So me, you, Pat, and Tracy jackhammering at Disneyland.
It's a pact.
That's a win. We'll put like mouse ears on the hard hats.
Yeah.
And we'll look official. Not a problem. So yes, another nice little detail is that archway. Which leads us to the 2003 Haunted Mansion movie that I know a lot of people like to forget about. But let's just take it. By the way, I was very excited when that movie came out, personally.
I was super excited.
And I don't remember hating it. I just remember being like, nah. But people hate it these days. Sorry, we're going to talk about it. Because in 2003, the Haunted Mansion movie did come out, and Disney put out an official book about the legend of Gracie Manor, which is Gracie is the host or the owner of the mansion in the film.
Now, is that when they officially started calling it Gracie Manor?
No,
I know it
Master
was kind of...
Gracie was a part of the story. Goodness, did Master Gracie start?
Because it was on a tombstone, but it's because there was an Imagineer named Gracie who worked on the attraction. But I think it had always been kind of an unofficial, just like with
Kinda like this.
And with the Hitchhiking Ghost, they had like unofficial names.
What are their names?
It's Phineas, Ezra, and Gus.
I wish one of them was named Ferb. That would have been great.
No.
Phineas, Ezra, and Gus?
Yeah.
I had never heard that before.
Ezra is the like super tall, skinny one. Phineas is the one with the top hat and the bag, and Gus is the one with the ball and chain.
Where did you hear this information?
It's always been like I said, it was kind of like a internal fan started one, but now it's on merchandise. Like if you get the Pop Funko Hitchhiking Ghosts,
kidding.
their names are on there. Yeah, so it's and that's why I ask about this, because it's one of those things where it's kind of like it's fan generated and probably like fueled internally, and then at one point they say, okay, this is Gracie Manor now.
Huh.
So I don't know, but I know that a lot of these early like fan ideas have now become Disney canon. Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. And yeah, that's some interesting stuff. My notes got lost. Here we go. So I was saying the Haunted Mansion movie. Back to that.
Right.
In the Haunted Mansion movie, The Legend of Gracie Manor, Gracie has a quote in the story that Disney put out, has a secret association with Jean Lafitte.
Yeah.
And there's even mention of secret passages and tunnels connecting to a graveyard crypt and the riverfront used for smuggling. I'm sorry, that's too much detail to be coincidence. Somebody working on this story really liked this fan theory and made it part of the film's canon. Even though like this isn't really in the film, it is in an officially released book by Disney and story. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I love this so much, and it actually angers me that it doesn't exist. Because this is mega storytelling in a theme park.
It is. It's excellent.
Oh, maybe it should start on Main Street, and we should have a little Lafitte shop on Main Street that you go in a back door, end up in New Orleans Square in a different shop. So that was his secret getaway.
Small town America to New Orleans.
Yes. And these days it could be used for Jack Sparrow to get from New Orleans Square to Main Street, USA. And there we go.
I think, what if Jack Sparrow was really a cover for Jean Lafitte?
No, I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes. Jack Sparrow is Jean Lafitte. Oh my God. I wish his last name, it was like Jack Laro. That would have
Jack Laro.
That way it was the same initials. I think that
His name is Jean Lafitte.
Jean Laffitte.
Jean Laffitte.
Now this weird little theory continues. Now this is where I'm like, okay, this is coincidence. This is Imagineering reusing props and such. But I'd be remiss not to mention there was a Pirates stage show in 2006 in New Orleans Square, of course, related to the films and everything. But this little stage that they set up, that they often use sometimes now for Tiana meet and greets and such, that little area, they dressed it up, had a little set for it. Yeah. And as part of the set, they actually had a portrait from the Haunted Mansion. And this portrait was known as the April to December portrait, which I believe hung in the hallway of the Changing Portraits originally. Is
it the ship?
No, this is a woman that transformed, and there were like 4 phases of her through the year, and she's just aging and dying. It's been replaced by the Gracie portrait.
Gotcha.
So what I understand is the Gracie portrait was in Florida, wasn't part of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion, and was later added, and they removed this April to December portrait.
Okay.
Which was part of the set for this pirate show. So once again, tying Pirates and Haunted Mansion together. I'm sure it was just something in a prop shop.
No, this is also just a coincidence. Mm-hmm. But in the portrait hallway, there's the ship,
pirate ship
that turns into a ghost ship. It could be the Black Pearl.
No, let's not bring the movies into this.
But the stage show was for the
that's true.
The movies,
but it could be Jean Lafitte's pirate ship.
It could be.
Oh my goodness, I like that. That's a DCTC fan theory right there.
Yeah,
that is. I'm calling it part of official that's canon right there.
That's DCTC canon.
TC canon. No, I like that. Okay. So there was that stage show. And then now there's this chair. This one I really think is just coincidence or a popular chair back in the day. But there is this chair. I'd say the way you're probably most familiar with it if you've ridden Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, there's the chair that Jack Sparrow's on at the end when you're going back up the waterfall that he's rocking back and forth on. So there's that chair there. If you look, there's a portrait in the attic of the Haunted Mansion where one of the guys whose heads disappear is in the same exact chair. And if you look in the Haunted Mansion movie, it's the same chair that Master Gracey sits in throughout the film. So, I mean, hey guys, what do you think? I just think that's kind of coincidence.
I mean, Lafitte really liked that chair.
I think it was just a popular chair. It was like it was from like IKEA 1700s. You know? It's like everybody had one of them.
Yeah, of course.
So
easy to build.
I don't know. That's the story of Jean Lafitte in New Orleans Square, tying together Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Tom Sawyer Island, and now somehow we've brought it to Main Street USA. But how much of this do you think is based in reality of what was proposed?
I think that Imagineering often kind of farms ideas from their history.
Sure.
So I'm sure that this has been archived somewhere, and whenever they're, especially with the crypt, with the bricked over crypt, I mean, I'm sure that they are like, oh, this was an idea that we had, so it'd be great to pay tribute to that in the park somehow. So there's got to be a ton of those, not even related to this subject, but just throughout the park that are no longer fully fleshed out ideas.
Yeah. Now, what of all of this, if this did exist, what part of it do you wish was real?
Oh, the underground tunnel, yeah. Especially because it sounded like that not only was it just like a cool passageway, but it expanded the park with more like walk-through attraction and possibly like a saloon or some kind of restaurant. Like, this would have been awesome.
You know what I want?
What?
Pop Rock Soda.
Pop Rock Soda. That's it. I feel like that's we're most likely to get that.
That's true.
I feel like if we got any of this, we could get Pop Rock Soda.
Yeah, I just think that's the greatest, and I can't believe it. If anybody knows of anybody that's done Pop Rock Soda, please let me know. That just sounds...
Just do it at home. I mean...
Well, isn't that's the whole theory of... Remember the story of Mikey, the kid from the cereal commercial, drank Pop Rocks and... ate Pop Rocks and drank Pepsi after, and supposedly it blew up his stomach and he died. That's like an old urban legend. You never heard this?
No.
Oh my goodness, this is like an urban legend.
What cereal commercial?
Oh, I think it was like Life cereal.
Yeah.
So this little kid Mikey it's not true.
No, of course.
From what I understand, Mikey is alive and well. But they actually talk about this in the horror movie Urban Legends because it was such a well-known urban legend that supposedly that person ate Pop Rocks, drank soda, blew up his stomach. So maybe Disney just didn't want to take that risk.
Be careful with your experiments after this.
Can you imagine like the case study of that in Imagineering? So we're having something new in the commissary today. Give it a try. Let us know.
Here's a NDA form and a liability contract. We have no liability if your stomach blows up.
Absolutely. But the underground thing does sound really cool. I don't know. I'm obsessed with this idea of massive storytelling.
So we briefly discussed this before the episode, but here's how I think they should bring this storytelling back to reality.
Okay.
I know everybody's tired of movie universes, but I want them to connect this. We've been waiting for a new Haunted Mansion movie.
Yes. Guillermo del Toro's. Yep.
They could even find it. We've got the 5th movie in the Pirates of the Caribbean series. We know it's probably coming to a logical conclusion at some point.
Oh, you think so? I think they're gonna go on forever.
I think they could do a great reboot if they brought it in to a Disney universe where we tie in a Haunted Mansion movie. We have a new pirate, Jean Lafitte.
With a Jack Sparrow or without?
What do you want?
I don't care. Frankly. I mean, frankly, if you're gonna, I would say without, not because I don't love Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, but because I would want it as distant from those films as possible.
Well, and I know you're a horror guy, so I think
I love horror.
I feel like with this concept, they could even they could go a little bit darker. Not like too crazy horror, but I mean, like, I know Guillermo del Toro's been trying to make a Haunted Mansion movie forever.
Yeah.
And he definitely has a darker vision for it than the 2003 movie.
Yeah.
Which personally, that was my kind of, it's too like goofy. And,
I mean, it was made for families.
Yeah. So I want to see a little bit darker take on Haunted Mansion. Tie it into a Pirates movie, and then they could even pull in. They could retell the story of Tom Sawyer, but with Lafitte, and then Tom Sawyer's ghost ends up in the Haunted Mansion.
Now, here's my question: when does the story of Tom Sawyer take place? I don't really know. I think much later than the 1700s.
Well, I think it's got to be like 1800s, right?
Is it? I don't really know.
Yeah. He discovers pirate gold.
Does he?
Hidden treasure. I don't know if it's necessarily pirate gold, but what if he discovers...
It's Jean Lafitte's pirate's gold.
What if he discovers Jean Lafitte's pirate gold, but it's cursed gold?
Cursed gold, where it makes you drink soda with Pop Rocks.
Where it makes you drink soda with ammunition, with gunpowder.
With gunpowder, and then your stomach explodes.
And your stomach explodes, and you end up in the Haunted Mansion.
This is some of the worst armchair Imagineering ever.
Well, of course Imagineers could come up with something better, but...
So you want to see it in a film universe?
I think that would be cool, yeah.
I would actually like to see this become a reality in the theme park universe. Even if they don't build the tunnels and stuff. I'm not even saying do major construction.
Yeah.
I would just love for official canon to tie all of this together, whether it's through a book, through, a podcast, through anything.
Well, even if you look at the Pirates movies, they've changed the attractions.
Yes.
The movies have changed the attractions.
For sure.
So if they made this a movie universe... I feel like it's more likely for them to be like, okay, well, this is a big franchise, so let's change the parks accordingly.
I would agree. For so many people, going on a Disney vacation requires years of saving. So the last thing you want after scrimping and saving is added stress on top of that. So why not make it easier for yourself and let our Season 4 sponsor, Adventures Out There Travel, do the heavy lifting for you. Perhaps you're planning for your first Disney vacation and you're feeling overwhelmed because there's so much to do and see. Well, don't worry. Adventures Out There Travel has you covered. Their agents specialize in making suggestions based on the type of activities you tell them you want to experience. Whether heading to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or on a Disney cruise, Adventures Out There Travel can help you out. Go to adventuresouttheretravel.com for your free, no-obligation quote. Okay, so now that we've got this little theory out there, which doesn't officially exist, but does exist, there's pieces that are true, there are pieces that are not, whatever.
Yeah.
We love the concept. Let's say, what if we were to create a story like this for a different land? Or I think all of the lands should. All of the lands are connected somehow. Ooh, other than by a hub.
Well, I know on a previous episode we talked about the Legends of Frontierland. So they kind of did something like that there. Mm-hmm. But the land I want to see tied together is Tomorrowland.
I would love to see Tomorrowland get any sort of facelift. We're talking about Disneyland here specifically?
Disneyland specifically,
okay.
Yeah.
What do you want to see them do there? I mean, let's face it, that is the most... that land really is all over the place.
It's a bit disjointed right now.
That's the word I was looking for, disjointed.
It's especially because is Matterhorn technically a part of No, it's Fantasyland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But we do have like the submarine voyage. Mm-hmm. We've got Space Mountain, but even with all these great attractions, it's all kind of overlaid with Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
But as soon as they pull Star Wars out, we're going to have a even more disjointed land. I mean, there's not going to be anything in where Launch Bay is now, what once was Innoventions and Carousel of Progress. We're going to have we're gonna have a very lackluster. I think it's gonna be lackluster once Star Wars Land opens. They're gonna have to do a lot to convince people to come into Tomorrowland.
I think that they know that, and I think they know they're going to have to do something with it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Interventions get blown up, if that building just goes away and becomes something brand new. Supposedly the motor's already gone that spins the building.
I mean, it's been so long since they've done anything that actually...
The last thing was the Dream House. The Dream House spun.
Oh, that's right.
But that's the last time that it spun, I believe. So yeah, they got rid of that motor from what I understand. The big question still is Star Tours going to be part of Tomorrowland? I've said many times, I personally hope not, even though I love the attraction. I think it would be very stupid to have a separate Star Wars thing outside of Star Wars Land.
Right.
I've also heard like Jedi training will still remain in Tomorrowland.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard stuff. There's supposedly theories out there that based on the timeline of where Star Wars Land exists, Darth Vader will not exist.
Right.
So they still want a Darth Vader presence, and if that's the case, where's he going to go? Tomorrowland Jedi training.
Well, if The Last Jedi is any indication, they're trying to wrap up the Jedi in the new movies. So,
which is still weird to me. But so anyway, your theory. Let's hear it.
I think it would be really cool to retheme the entire. So the idea was the world of tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it would be really cool if they decided to start repurposing the rides to tie together to tell a futuristic story, or possibly like a story of an alternate dimension. I feel like I'm treading
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone, but I'm treading also very closely to the movie, to the
Tomorrowland movie.
The Tomorrowland movie.
I'll tell you what, if they put a little thing in Small World that brought us to a I'd go with it. I would be all for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If you had a pin,
absolutely.
You like put on a special pin, and it like, even if it was like an app, like you had an app on your phone.
That would bring pin trading to a whole new level. But yeah, so I'm sorry, continue.
Well, even and I feel like that could play a really big part in it is augmented reality, and one of the things that I feel like is an issue is it's really hard to keep that land updated.
Yeah.
To keep it in like a futuristic tone. So I know we've talked a little bit about like going more retro, but one way that they could easily keep it updated is if they had an augmented reality or like a VR component where when you go into the land, you're kind of like exploring it through the lens of your phone, or possibly they have some kind of like glasses or something that they give you. And
that'd be a lot of people, but you'd have to rent them.
Yeah, exactly. It would be kind of like the World Showcase. The adventure there where you get like the little like burner phone that helps you do things, or like I said, an app on your phone. But it tells a story of not only innovation and like the advancement of technology, but maybe there's a mystery component in there. You're trying to solve something in Tomorrowland.
So would this tie the rides together as well, or just kind of a story throughout the land?
Well, I would hope so. I think, especially with what we've heard of Star Wars Land, there's going to be a sort of immersive factor as far as like going on the rides, like how you do in the rides affects your reputation.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool if there was some way of like how you participated in rides carried over into your other experiences in the land.
I would like to see a whole theme park do this with like a full story, which I know is kind of a difficult. It'd be tough because obviously we're so used to theme parks now where there are different lands that have their own stories to them and their own attractions. But what I would really love to see is a theme park, and I mean, I guess initially the closest you'd ever have to that is Disney MGM Studios back in the beginning,
right?
Where it was, I mean, the whole theme was we're a movie studio, and that kind of was just a generic theme. But I mean one where it's like massive amounts of storytelling. It's all one theme. The trick there is you have to make it so that it's really entertaining for those people who want that full story experience, but also entertaining for the people who just want the ride experience.
Right.
And then on top of that, of course, with a theme, it's like say you went with pirates, just for example.
Yeah.
You have to, the only people that are going to enter the park are people interested in pirates.
Right.
You know, whereas when you're in Disneyland, even if you don't love pirates, you'll do it. I'm here.
Yeah.
You're not going to enter something that's entirely about something you're not interested in. So it's a tough little thing to do, but I would really love to see that exist in some way, shape, or form.
I think the closest thing is the proposed Star Wars resort that they were talking about.
Sure.
Where it's that 2-day
Yeah.
immersive, there's activities there,
Yeah.
there's dining, everything's all inclusive, and you are in that world for 2 days.
Yeah, that's not a theme park, but definitely a full story. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Who knows where the future's going to go with this stuff? Obviously, there's more and more and more attention being paid to story. I do wonder, though, is there going to be a day where people are like, I don't care, just give me a cool ride. Like, and it's kind of going to reverse. I mean, all of this stuff is cyclical, and I do wonder, you know, is it going to a place? Because I do feel like 85% of the people that go into Star Wars Land really aren't going to care.
85%.
Yeah.
85%.
I think most people don't care about that amount of detail. I get this in haunt attractions all the time, and I always appreciate the amount of detail and storytelling that go into haunt attractions around Halloween time.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I feel like the ones that are most successful are simply the ones that scare people. Like, they really don't care. When you start to throw that backstory into it, I love it, because to me, it's like a theater experiment, and I'm a huge theater person, but I feel like most people that just go to a haunt just want to be scared, just want to see something scary, gory, whatever, make them jump. And they don't really care about that backstory that you've spent hours and days and months and years creating.
Right.
And I do feel like theme parks are kind of in that area where it's just like, just entertain me. And then there's this small amount of us that love the massive amounts of storytelling. Maybe it's not 85%, maybe it's a little lower, but I feel like it's a great majority that simply don't care.
I would disagree. At least with Star Wars. At least with
Okay.
Star Wars. But I do agree that there is a lot of, especially when talking about Star Wars Land, or even with this Lafitte's theory, is that there is so much original content being put into it. Whereas you look at a land like Harry Potter Land,
Yeah.
it's very much just like, we're just going to take everything from the movies. Like, this has all been established. We're not going to put any more thought into crafting this world.
Sure.
So maybe there is that element of people aren't going to appreciate the scale to which they are designing a new story for Star Wars Land, or if they were to do an original backstory for the other lands.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because myself personally, not a huge fan of the books, not a huge fan of the movies, love the theme park land.
Yeah.
And like you just said, so there is books, many movies with all of this backstory, and all I'm like is just entertain me here. Like I've read the first book, I've seen all of the movies. I just don't care enough about that story to really. I know. Don't even send the hate mail. This is a Disney podcast. It's fine, guys. I love that you love it. I wish I did. I just don't. But I'm beyond impressed by the detail in that land. I just don't care so much about the story. So
Right.
I don't know. I think most people don't really care.
Well, I at least appreciate the fact that you will probably be in your proposed 15% of people who will appreciate the Star Wars backstory.
Oh, I'm very excited about the Star Wars. Although I won't appreciate it as much as you. That's for sure.
I mean, and for me, it's like learning a whole new chapter of the Star Wars universe.
Sure.
You know?
I find it exciting. I find it very exciting that that's the direction that theme park storytelling is going. Okay, well, that's a lot of fan theory and Imagineering theory and everything. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
Disney, can we make this canon?
Let's make it happen.
Let's make Lafitte canon. We know it's a big part of the park.
Yeah,
so.
I would love some Lafitte canon, and the Lafitte estate.
Lafitte's canon?
Yeah, Lafitte's canon. But, God, dad jokes provided by Aaron Fairbanks. But I think it would be great if the Lafitte estate was like, oh, Disney, you owe us a lot of money.
Well, maybe that's why they changed the spelling. Like
Lafitte is the pirate that stole the movie Pirates of the Caribbean and is holding it ransom. It's the Lafitte estate. More canon for you.
They're very upset, Disney.
We've lost our minds. I think we just broke the case. Man, I feel like Encyclopedia Brown. That's great. Anyway, before we head off to trivia time, I do want to give a shout out to Mind Consuming. Hello, Mind Consuming. Thanks for leaving us a 5-star written review on iTunes. Always appreciated. Helps other Disney fans find the show easier. So if you haven't done it yet, go to iTunes, leave that 5-star written review. If you don't know how to do it, go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, click on the FAQ, and there's a link there to teach you exactly how to do it.
It teaches you how to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, it links you to a site that teaches you how to do it.
You are very thorough, Jeff.
Well, actually, a lot of people had been like, I want to leave you a review. I have no idea how. And I remember the first time I left a review, it's not exactly like, it's not difficult, but it's not self-explanatory. So there's a link in the FAQ at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.
No excuses.
And if you leave a 5-star written review, we'll give you a shout out on the show, just like we did for Mind Consuming. So thank you very much, Mind Consuming. And I also want to give a shout out to the Virtual Disney Network, Disney with a Z there, the Virtual Disney Network, who recently started posting Disney Coast to Coast podcast episodes on their website. So make sure you go to virtualdisney.com to check that out. And other than that, I think that means it's trivia time. Hey folks, today for trivia time, we got some special guests with me. Over here on my left is Rick West from themeparkadventure.com. And to my right, Mr. Mark Silverman, who you may know as the voice of Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Welcome, guys.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Thanks for coming to trivia time.
It's going to be a great one.
It is, and we're here for trivia, but we've got a little something we need to talk about before that.
A little something.
Yeah, there is a big special event coming to Southern California this summer in July. It's called Midsummer Scream. It is an awesome haunt convention. But there is a panel that our listeners and viewers definitely will be interested in. So tell them a bit about it, Rick.
Well, sure. On Saturday, July 29th, the first day of Midsummer Scream, in Long Beach at the Long Beach Convention Center. Tickets on sale now, midsummerscream.org. We are going to kick off the show with a panel called Beyond the Fifth Dimension, Creating the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Ooh.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. It's the perfect way for Southern California and beyond fans to come together and truly send off Tower, one of the great attractions that we've had here at the Disneyland Resort in fashion altogether.
Absolutely.
And so my good friend Mark Silverman here, he is the voice of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. He is going to be joined on stage. I'm going to moderate this thing. It's going to be Mark. It's going to be Corey Sewellson, who was the art director in the project. Oh, hell. He was the great I Am of Tower, and I just blanked. Sorry, Corey.
He was the producer on the...
He was the show producer. Show producer! There we go, for 20. Okay, and we're going to have Michael Sprout, who was the show writer, which is very near and dear to my heart because I'm a show writer as well in real life. And so the guys that really kind of breathed life into this mega attraction, they're going to have at it on stage. It's going to be a great hour-long discussion that will go like that. But you got to be there. It's going to be fantastic.
Can we get a little sneak peek or a sneak listen?
I think so. Do you guys at home want to hear Mark do a little bit of Twilight Zone?
I'm sure they do.
All right, Mark, have at it.
This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator still in operation waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard because in tonight's episode, you are the star. And this elevator travels directly to the Twilight.
Okay, that's it. They got to buy tickets and come to Midsummer Scream if they want the whole enchilada.
Excellent.
That's it.
And we're going to do a giveaway, a pair of tickets, yeah? To
Fantastic. You bet we are.
Fantastic. Go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com and click on the contest tab to figure out how you can win a pair of tickets. Please don't enter if you can't get to Long Beach, California on the date of the event, because then you'll be taking it from somebody who can. But if you're going to be in SoCal, definitely check that out. But I think it means some trivia now, yes?
Okay, yes.
Are you ready for Mark, I'm going to start with you. This is, of course, Tower of Terror trivia. And let's see, which one do I want to give to you? Well, this might be really simple, or maybe this will stop.
All right.
What year?
No pressure, Mark.
What year? Actually, how do you think you'll do?
I think I do it pretty well.
Okay. What year was the fictional Hollywood Tower Hotel built?
1917?
Ding, ding, ding.
Damn.
Boom.
Just bam.
How did you know that?
Because
Look
I
at
got
that.
I got a mental image of that plaque that says that.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
There's the plaque on the building,
I'm
1917.
toast. I'll tell you right now, I'm toast.
Now,
Oh, my God.
I know that that's Florida's. I wonder if that's all of them. Are they all 1917?
Probably.
Okay. Now, Rick, where can you find a Mickey Mouse doll in the attraction?
A doll?
Yeah, Mickey Mouse doll in the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Wow. I'm guessing is the little girl carrying one in the pre-show movie?
Oh my goodness! Very good.
Just like
That was just a guess?
It was a guess.
Wow.
I thought he was going to ask where the Mickey Mouse hidden Mickey is, and that's on one of the gauges in the boiler room.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Boom! A double dip right there.
Did you know the answer?
Well, I knew that the little girl in the pre-show had the doll, yeah.
Yeah, so in the
so that was
pre-show
a guess.
video in the library, when she goes in the elevator, she's holding the Mickey Mouse doll. I didn't. You guys certainly don't have to, but do you have anything you want to try and stump me with, tower related?
Wow.
Any fun facts you want to share?
Yes.
There you go.
What is the episode
Oh.
that actually, one episode features the fifth dimension that the fifth dimension area in the ride is kind of modeled after?
I've heard of it. I don't know it. I've definitely read about it though.
Little Girl Lost.
Okay.
And that's the one that is sort of modeled the movie Poltergeist after that episode.
Oh, very cool. Of course, we're all huge Twilight Zone Tower of Terror fans here. So, guys, thanks so much for coming on for trivia time. Of
course.
Make sure you check out midsummerscream.org to get your tickets. Go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, click on the contest tab to enter to win tickets. And Mark, Rick, thank you very much. Thank you very much to Rick and Mark for coming on the show to tell us about Midsummer Scream. Of course, if you want to win some tickets to Midsummer Scream, make sure you go to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, click on that contest tab, and enter there. Anything else you want to add, or are you good for the week?
I'm good for the week.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a magical week. Bye.
Thanks for watching Disney Coast to Coast.